Welcome everyone. Shocking cases of attempted sacrilege have rocked the state of Punjab. And just before elections, it is being seen as massive provocation to divide people. Two of these cases have been reported in the last 2 days. One from the Golden Temple itself, an attempt caught on CCTV, and another from Kapurthala, where the matter was not even about the holy book, but only a religious flag. What has also shocked the country is that instead of reporting the case and accused to police, in both cases, as has happened in the past, mob justice was dished out and accused were killed on the spot. Let us first break down what we know about these cases. On Saturday, December 18, the first case took place. That is in this week. A youth jumped over the rails guarding the holy book at the Golden Temple. He picked up or seemed to be picking up a nearby sword to allegedly desecrate the holy book. He was caught and taken out by Sangat personnel and allegedly killed on the spot by SGPC members. Now, case on killed accused under 295A and for attempt to murder has been filed, but no action on people who beat and killed the person. A day later, on Sunday, another case came to light. A man allegedly disrespected holy flag in Kapurthala. Accused was again beaten up by Gurdwara personnel. Sikh groups insisted to quiz the accused in front of them. A heated exchange took place between the cops and religious groups. Accused was still thrashed by the mob and he died. FIR against accused for hurting religious sentiments, but again, no action on people who beat the person. Now, concerns have also been raised that all of this could be a ploy, and that too with Pakistan support, to foment trouble in the border state, also bound for elections. Punjab Intel has issued a warning, putting religious institutions on high alert. It has warned of more such incidents in the future and directed security to be beefed up in the state.
आपका ध्यान में ले जाना चाहूँगा, पंजाब में आतंकवाद शुरू होने से पहले इसी किस्म की घटनाएं, हरमंदिर साहब के सरोवर में सिगरेट का पैकेट फेंका जाना, पटियाला मंदिर के अंदर गऊ की पूंछ काट के फेंका जाना, ये लोगों की भावनाओं को खिलवाड़ करके, उत्तेजित करके पंजाब की स्थिति को बिगाड़ने का प्रयास किया गया है। मैं समझता हूँ कि हिंदुस्तान के अंदर चाहे हमारे किसी से कितने भी राजनीतिक विरोध रहे हों, कोई भी पार्टी इस किस्म का घिनौनी सोच नहीं रख सकती। मेरा तो यही मानना है कि पंजाब में डिस्टेबलाइज करने के लिए प्रयास अक्रॉस द बॉर्डर से किए जा रहे हैं।
सर, जिस तरीके से कल कोशिश की गई डिसरिस्पेक्ट करने की, हाउ डू यू सी इट सर, कैसे आप देखते हैं?
ये बहुत ही दुखदाई है। देखिए, श्री दरबार साहब में आज तक कभी किसी ने कल्पना भी नहीं की, लेकिन इसके पीछे बहुत बड़ी कोई साजिश है। ये वो अकेला नहीं है, ये किसी को लाभ या किसी को हानि पहुंचाने के लिए ऐसा काम किया गया है। पंजाब सरकार का बहुत बड़ा फेलियर है और अब इलेक्शनें सिर पर हैं। पंजाब को बांटने की, पंजाब के लोगों में आपस में एक खाई खोदने की कोशिश की जा रही है। कोई कल्पना नहीं कर सकता कि वो ऐसा काम करने के बाद जिंदा रहने की कल्पना करे, ये भी संभव नहीं है। ये बहुत बड़ा एक हमला है।
जो दर्दनाक घटना दरबार साहब, श्री दरबार साहब अमृतसर हुई है, ਉਹਦੇ ਤੇ जिन्ना भी दुख प्रगट करो थोड़ा है। और ਇਹਦੀ बड़ी कोई वड्डी साजिश हो सकती है ਤੇ ਇਹ साजिश ਨੂੰ बेनकाब करना बहुत ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ है। इसलिए मैं सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट ਜਾਂ कोई जुडिशियल एजेंसी ਇਹਦੀ ਵੱਡੀ ਇਨਕੁਆਇਰੀ करे, ताकि ਜਿਹੜਾ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਦੇ ਹਿਰਦੇ ਇਹਨੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਸੱਟ ਵੱਜੀ ਹੈ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ ਪਤਾ ਲੱਗ ਸਕੇ।
We have registered one FIR। ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਗਏ ਹਾਂ, ਫਸਟ ਫਲੋਰ ਤੇ ਗਏ ਹਾਂ। ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ 'ਚ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਦੇਖਿਆ, ਜਿਵੇਂ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸੁਖਾਸਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਉਂਝ ਸੁਖਾਸਨ ਆ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦਾ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਸੁਖਾਸਨ ਵਾਲਾ ਕਮਰਾ ਐਜ਼ ਇਟ ਇਜ਼ ਇੰਟੈਕਟ ਸੀ, किते कोई छेड़खानी नहीं हुई। और सुन लो, गुरुद्वारा साहब वाले पोर्शन च कोई भी सैक्रिलेज इवेंट की नज़र नहीं आया। नो विजिबल साइन, बकायदा उसकी वीडियोग्राफी हुई।
मैं नवजोत सिंह सिद्धू, पुत्र सरदार भगवंत सिंह सिद्धू, स्वतंत्रता सेनानी, ऐलान करदा कि अगर किते भी बेअदबी होवे, चाहे कुरान साहब, कुरान शरीफ दी होवे, चाहे भगवत गीता दी होवे, चाहे गुरु ग्रंथ साहब दी होवे, सामने लोगों के लिया के फाहा ला देना चाहिए। कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की सब तो बड़ी सजा देनी चाहिए। ਗਲਤੀਆਂ ਕੋਈ ਵੀ ਕਰ ਸਕਦਾ ਹੈ, ਲੇਕਿਨ ਇਹ ਗਲਤੀ ਨਹੀਂ, ਇੱਕ ਕੌਮ ਨੂੰ ਡਬਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਸਾਜ਼ਿਸ਼ ਹੈ, ਇੱਕ ਕੌਮ ਨੂੰ ਖਤਮ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਸਾਜ਼ਿਸ਼ ਹੈ।
Everyone condemning the sacrilege attempts and even what it could mean in the state of Punjab. But why is there no condemnation for the sacrilege lynchings themselves? In many of these cases, it becomes very difficult to even establish that any sacrilege happened or what the exact nature of the attempt was, because the accused are just killed. And worse still, as we just played out, no action is taken on those who take the law into their hands. In public domain, several leaders have also been seen making comments encouraging mob justice. Let me take that question to our guest. Joining us, Ratan Sharda, author, Sanjay Jha, political analyst, Swati Goyal Sharma, senior editor, Swarajya magazine, and Hemant Atri, senior journalist from Punjab. Let me go across to Sanjay Jha first up. Sanjay Jha, are there good lynchings and bad lynchings? How is it that we don't condemn lynchings when religious sentiments are hurt? And then who's going to decide in which case it is okay or not? Sanjay Jha, please unmute yourself. Sanjay Jha, can you hear me? All right, let me go across to Ratan Sharda in the meantime till we sort that out. Ratan Sharda, what is this precedent being set? Where nobody even today, for example, no political party even wants to discuss this. That lynchings are taking place, and in the past 5 years, 7 such instances have happened.
Shivani, this is the third lynching, if you remember correctly. First was at the border, Delhi border.
Yes.
Then these are 2 new lynchings. No sane person in Punjab will ever disrespect any Granth whatsoever. Punjabi people are highly religious, whether they are Sikhs or non-Sikhs. But to create such an environment of instigation, I heard Sidhu's speech. It was highly instigating. I don't expect a responsible political leader to make statements. And if you're not taking action against anybody but justifying the lynching in a way saying koi kar nahi sakta, karna nahi chahiye, we all agree. Any person is found to be disrespecting any kind of religious sentiments, which I've seen earlier also during the last violent phase of 1990, 80, 90. What happened? Basically, everybody closed their eyes to the acts of violence, acts of instigation, and that led to huge violent wave, which took 15 years to subside, if not 15, at least 12 years to subside. If that is a scenario, why are people keeping quiet now? Whether one part is the sacrilege, which the person should be punished by killing the person, are you able to uncover the conspiracy? No. You're not uncovering the conspiracy.
But even the BJP and the RSS are shying away from condemning the lynching.
No. RSS has given a statement.
They've stopped short of condemning the lynching. They're only saying that there seems to be a conspiracy behind this and we should not fall prey to it.
See, but anybody has given any other kind of statement which tries to balance the two things. Point is, we should not lose balance. We should not lose balance, and the job of the state government is to catch the people who perpetrated lynching, and they have to file the cases. It is not something that on which we
but
can start shouting. But
there's no case filed on the people who are attempting these lynchings. My question is exactly this. I mean, are we going to allow some lynchings to go unquestioned?
Exactly, because if I go as a Hindu, go to court to protest against some desecration of Hindu gods or scriptures, I am called a terrorist. I am called a radical. I am called a fundamentalist or terrorist, whatever. But people who actually respond to this kind of action by lynching, whether it's Pakistan or India or anywhere else or even in Punjab, it shows that we have double standards, we are hypocrites, and we dare not call out because you fear the counter violence from the same elements against you also.
Sanjay
as simple as that.
Sanjay Jha is back with us.
Is quiet?
No, precisely my question. But actually all political parties are quiet. Maybe because elections are around the corner, nobody wants to take this up uncomfortable question. Sanjay Jha, the question is this only. Are there good lynchings and bad lynchings? The fact that nobody wants to outrightly condemn people taking matters into their own hands, whether the religious sentiments are hurt or not, is setting a very dangerous precedent.
Shivani, let me tell you, when lynching happens in any society, that is a manifestation of a crumbling law enforcement and a banana republic culture. I mean, that's how the Ku Klux Klan was actually lynching the blacks, as they were called then, and African Americans today, during the worst times of the racial segregation when Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. So, you are now looking at going to the dark ages in India. I totally agree with you that end of day, the desecration was horrible. The sacrilege is a very sensitive issue in a religious context, in particular when you have Punjab, and that too at a very hypersensitive time of the forthcoming elections. But lynching cannot but be condemned in the strongest words possible. And, I'm just grateful that at least, the Punjab Deputy Chief Minister Sukhjinder Singh Randhawa has at least been the one singular politician who came up and said that the individual concerned, no matter how, blasphemous his act, should not have been killed.
And Abhishek Manu Singhvi from the Congress party too. He faced opposition from the BJP and other leaders for even saying something what is obvious to all of us. But can I just point out, Sanjay Jha, if sacrilege is to be taken so seriously, and if we are to not condemn lynchings in some cases, and you're talking about crumbling law and order, the same argument can be made for cow vigilantism.
Absolutely.
In most of those cases, people are fed up because illegal cow slaughter and illegal cow trade goes on under their noses, and they have to defend their cattle, and the law and order cannot. But in those cases, the entire country is called Lynchistan.
But, Shivani, let me tell you, I have written about it. I think I've said it on your show as well. The day we allow mob justice to come into play, the day vigilantism becomes one of the, leitmotif of our times, then you are actually basically abdicating official responsibility. And the fact that since 2014, whether you take what happened at Dadri with Mohammed Akhlaq, and subsequent, there have been multiple cases, I think it range over 45 to 50, in some estimates over 100. We have actually turned a blind eye to these cold-blooded massacres. And, you cannot afford to let that happen. I mean,
but all political parties are, Sanjay. That's exactly what I'm discussing. Isn't it so politically inconvenient to outrage when a cow vigilante lynching takes place and everybody is hiding under covers today? Nobody's coming on this discussion, for example.
Forget the violence.
Shivani, let me tell you, the entire political ecosystem is actually acting in the worst form of hypocrisy. This is being disingenuous, because I can tell you the perpetrator of that ghastly desecration also deserved, firstly, I feel we should have known about what the conspiracy was. Whether
precisely. How are you ever going to get down to the bottom of this? But Sanjay, in what you say, I agree with most of what you're saying, but in what you say, what I also find, and I'll take this to Swati Goyal, who tracks these cases, is that some religious sentiments are sacrosanct, while others are to be derided. What is the precedent being set in our country? If somebody feels strongly about cow protection, what are they condemned as? Backward. They are openly protested against. But in this case, religious sentiment is sacrosanct. So whose religious sentiment is sacrosanct?
Yeah. So Shivani, first of all, let me give the statistic that it's not 7, but at least 8 people who have been lynched or killed in over accusations of sacrilege of six holy texts since 2016. And these include at least 2 Dalits and 2 women. So it all started in 2015 when pages of a copy of Guru Granth Sahib were found torn and strewn in the street. Then a few more such incidents happened. Then villagers in Faridkot agitated against it. They staged a protest against it, and it turned violent, and the police opened fire, and at least 2 protesters died.
Yes.
So it became such a big issue that the then BJP Akali government was defeated, and its defeat is largely attributed to the sacrilege cases and the killing of 2 protesters over it. Since then, this has become like a key issue in Punjab politics. So now with elections around the corner, no party wants to take the risk of condemning the lynching. And it's extremely sad. See, the ruling party, which is the Congress, it's actually shifting the blame to the center by saying that the bill they had proposed to amend 295A to add desecration of a holy book. And, that too, I think they had demanded life imprisonment for it. So they say that the center has not passed their bill. And the rival parties are, of course, blaming the Congress for allowing sacrilege to happen. So what if nobody is doing is condemning the lynching, and by doing this, they're obviously promoting vigilantism and mob justice.
But isn't it
And
hypocritical
when we
that in some cases mob justice from the platform of political rallies is being encouraged? Like everybody is taking it for granted that if you attempt this, your death is certain on the spot.
Absolutely. And Shivani, one thing we also have to understand that the issue of cow smuggling and sacrilege is not similar. Cow smugglers is an organized gang, and it is a cross-country gang, and it's very armed. Like it's very deadly, and it's armed, and it's one of the biggest illegal trades happening in India. And they also kill farmers. Like, see, two things can't be compared because the cow smugglers are killing actually more farmers than it's reported. Then because nobody prepares a database of it.
No, I'm only
They
comparing
killing
it
more-
because
yes.
some unfortunate cases of lynchings have happened in the name of cow vigilantism. And we all know the kind of national atmosphere that is created. Now here, 3 such cases have happened in the past 2 months. And everybody's quiet.
Absolutely. And see, they're all calling this whole, the many sacrilege cases a conspiracy, even though there is no proof of it, that they're all connected somehow. But in the case of cow smuggling, it's very obvious, and there have been reports prepared by the CBI and other organizations, and even courts have said it, that it's an organized crime. It's an organized crime syndicate. And so the two can't be compared. And what we see is that desecration of a book is becoming a far more, let's say, an emotive issue than actually an armed, organized gang killing farmers. This is I think, the saddest part. The comparison is just not right.
Hemant Atri, what's going on in Punjab? I mean, where do we go if we continue like this? People are already drawing a parallel with the start of militancy a few decades ago.
Shivani, whatever is happening in Punjab is terribly unfortunate, let me tell you this. The first point is, as you rightly pointed out in the beginning, see what all political parties are doing. They are condemning sacrilege and nobody is condemning this thing, lynching. This is something very unfortunate. Both the things go on simultaneously. See, what IPC sections this sacrilege invites? It invites 295 and 295A. In 295, it carries an imprisonment of 2 years, right? Sacrilege. And hurting the religious sentiment, 295A, that carries imprisonment of 3 years. Now, what Captain Amrinder Singh government tried to do was, they tried to get in 295AA. What does it mean? What was it, having? It was having that there should be a life imprisonment of up to 20 years. Imagine what is happening around for political things. In a theocratic state like Pakistan, sacrilege always attracts for imprisonment of not more than 10 years. And what Captain Amrinder Singh had, initiated 20 years of imprisonment. So what I want to point out is, any lynching whatsoever, maybe cow vigilantism, maybe sacrilege, see, these are unfortunate incidents. There's no doubt about it. We should condemn them wholeheartedly, again, no doubts. But what they have done, they have killed the people, they have lynched both the persons. Now, where will you get into the conspiracy of the whole stuff?
Precisely.
And believe you me, what Mr. Navjot Singh Sidhu has said today, it is a sad day. He is a party president of a ruling government. And what he is playing out? He says, hang them openly. What does it mean? Are we a theocratic state? Where we are going?
Right.
First and foremost thing what needs to be done is, first thing that I should tell you as a journalist, they should sensitize the masses at large that this is not the answer to sacrilege. These things keep happening. But we have to sensitize the people that if at all we have to go into the deep conspiracy, we have to act according to the law.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Number two, Shivani, give me 1 minute. And there should be an all-party meeting within 24 hours today. For the very simple reason that all parties, Punjab being a bordering state, is very, very sensitive, So all parties should be on the same page as to how they should come on the same page to handle with these situations. So elections keep coming and going.
Okay, but unfortunately, we are seeing the situation being milked. Now, I can understand it's sensitive, but everybody's religious sentiments are sensitive. Sanjay, I'll give you 20 seconds, and Ratan Sharda too. There are so many countless cases of desecration of temples, of, idols all across the country. Now, my question is exactly this. If religious sentiments become so important where we do not want to even emphasize law and order, we are going down a very slippery slope, because it doesn't only work for one community then.
You know, Shivani, you have hit the nail on the head. You know, I have always said this, and I'm sure many people have, that the moment politics becomes infiltrated with religion, the country will not just be down a slippery slope, it will head to a rabbit hole. And, you know, you're right. Every religion has got a right to believe that its temple or mosque or gurudwara, etc., is a sanctum sanctorum. Why not? I mean, it is a sensitivity and everyone has to respect it. But when you have mob fury of the kind that results in such ghastly acts, and politicians, whether it's the Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, or the Chief Minister of Punjab, they are all maintaining a remarkably, eloquent silence, that just tells you that we, all of us, are very vulnerable in the times that we live in. It's
and
a tragedy,
in many of these cases, we don't even know exactly what happened. So any one of us could suffer this fate tomorrow, because there's frankly no proof of any action. But I have to leave it at that. I do thank all of you for joining us. And let me also quickly go across to some other updates that we're tracking. Now, actor Aishwarya Rai Bachchan is at the Enforcement Directorate office today after being summoned to record a statement in connection with the agency's probe in the Panama Papers case. Remember, father-in-law, superstar Amitabh Bachchan, is also involved as far as this matter is concerned. The International Consortium of Investigative Journalists had released records of the Panama legal firm, which showed that several world leaders and celebrities had allegedly stashed money overseas. Meanwhile, mother-in-law Jaya Bachchan lost her cool in Parliament earlier today, hitting out at the government over the suspension and over this case and others. Let me also go across to my colleague Ashish Mehrishi joining us. Ashish, what's the latest as far as the presence is concerned before the ED today?
It is still being questioned as we speak. Going into the background of the story, the company which we are talking about, due to which Aishwarya Rai has been summoned today by the Enforcement Directorate, it's a company named Amic Partners Limited. Now, this company was opened in British Virgin Island, and it was opened on the 28th of October 2004. The company got inactivated in 2018 and it got struck off in 2009. Now, interestingly, it's not only Aishwarya Rai, but her other family members, including her mother, father, and her brother, Aditya Rai. They all were basically directors, and then, Aishwarya Rai also became a shareholder of the company. Now, interestingly, these details only came out when the information related to Mossack Fonseca, which is a legal firm in Panama, the data of that company got leaked to a German newspaper, and you remember there was an anonymous person who leaked this data. Then details came out. There are around 426 Indians who are being probed into this matter. Okay. Aishwarya Rai being one of them. And
very quickly, is there any line of questioning that we know of? What is she being asked about?
She's basically being asked on why this company was opened. She's basically being asked from where did you get the paid up capital of around $50,000? Are there any more transactions or there are any more bank accounts that are hidden? Why this company was not declared in the income tax returns? So this is basically the line of questioning. ED is basically looking into the money trail on why this bank account or the company was opened in Panama.
All right, Ashish, thanks a lot for joining us with those details. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Viewpoint. Thanks a lot for watching.